This part is to make the import terms and to define the files and the variables. The results of this part is like this. So it is going to create a table, and basically that table is going to contain the file names. So these are the files in each zip. To recap, we have these downloaded zips, and within each zip there are files. But the files in the zips are like this. These are the files. And basically this part is going to list all the files that could be included in this zips. And the second one is are the strings called input terms. So these are for inputting. So why we have to prepare this, we're gonna talk about that later. But anyway, this is to prepare the input terms following the specific syntax that is required. So the third part is to list out the variables, the name of the variables. And the fourth part is the type of the variables. And then the last one, I don't think I used that, but anyway, it is just to have the input format. So anyway, so these are the table to be created by this part. All right, so again, the details of this part can be viewed by right-click and show and hide this sub-step. And then to focus on this part, I'm going to collapse the rest of that so that we can focus on this part. And the macro is in the supporting SAS file. So again, I'm going to put the diagram and the programs side by side. So the first step is to initialize the variables, which are to set those local variables. The second part is to create an empty data set, and that one will be used to hold the final contents. Previously in the main program, we've already defined this variable, which are the list of the file names in the zip. To recap, it is here. So basically, these are the names of the files in the zip. So within this macro, we're going to add one more file, which is called inactive. So this file is specific. It's special. It only appears in the inactive zip. This is different. Anyway, so we're going to have a new string taking the file list plus this inactive one. Then the following is to loop and get the name, the file name each at a time. So we're going to use this function called the scan. So the scan is gonna split a string into segments, and each segment is going to be a file name. Just to illustrate that this is how the scan works. So let's suppose that there is a string. It has 3 segments splitted by the white space. All right. So we're going to use the scan, and we're going to get the first element, which will be this 1. So this is the second element, which is this part. Third is this. So this is based on the default delimiter, which is a white space. We can also specify a delimiter, which for example, in this case is a comma. It's going to have the same ways. Just to note that unlike in other language, that scan in SAS is going to start from 1. Like in other, like in Python, R, usually the first element is going to have an index number of 0, right? But in SAS, in the scan, it is going to start with a 1. There is no 0 here. So we're going to get a name from that list. For example, you're going to start with Yeah, so the first name is like a vet, and then a THER, then the status, whatever. So we're gonna loop for each of the name representing a file, and then make the input terms. Basically, we're gonna make a piece of that information from each file, including the file name, the input term, the input variables, whatever. Okay, so that part will be done by this macro called the MakeInputTermsAllFile. So we're gonna talk about that later. So once that piece is done, then it will put the results in a temporary file. It's called a temp1. Then we're gonna append the records in this temp1 into the target file, and we're gonna loop for all the files, and then we're gonna save the final results as in the